what led to the unselfishness in an environment where there's so many name players, bold-faced name players underneath one tent? How did that all gel to what we saw from the Warriors?
Well, I think there are two main reasons. Number one, you won't have an unselfish team unless your best player is that way. That's why the Spurs for 20 years were the most unselfish team in basketball, because of Tim Duncan. And it's the same thing with Steph Curry. When your best player is one who cares about wins more than his numbers, it just seeps down through the entire roster. And you add a Kevin Durant who's like that, who just fits in right with everybody else because he has that same mindset. But it also starts with your coach. If you're not buying into what the coach is saying, and because Steve Kerr has such a way, he's one of the best people persons I've ever seen, his ability to connect with this team, and because of his credibility of where he came from, not only as a player with championships, but who he played for, like a Popovich, like a Phil Jackson. He had that credibility, and they bought into him. So I think those two factors are the key that started that. And I'm not just saying this because he's my partner, but Mark Jackson started there, his culture of unselfishness defensively. And Steve Kerr was so gracious in giving Mark credit. They're as unselfish on the defensive end as they are on the offensive end, and I think that's what really makes them special.
Mike Breen joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show, and that's an interesting point that you make right there. I remember covering the 2001 World Series on SportsCenter on ESPN, and my analyst was Buck Showalter, and the Yankee team and the Diamondback teams that were playing for the World Series were built by him. I mean, he was the manager for the Yankee years prior to Torrey, and then he was the first Diamondbacks manager, and then Brenly came in and took him to the championship. And I could just tell there was a little bit of melancholy. He was professional and had a sense of humor about himself. What has it been like for Mark Jackson to be calling these games courtside, watching the Warriors win 2 out of the last 3 years, Mike?
I think there's a sense of pride that's part of it. And he doesn't hold any bitterness whatsoever. I'm amazed how good he is. I wouldn't be that strong. But he's proud of the players that he watched come into the league and helped grow up. He's just handled it so well. I think the first year may have been a little difficult, but I think it's more pride now. You'd have to ask him, but he loves the way they play. There's certain players that he coached that he has such great relationships with. And I think for him, it's been fun to watch in some ways.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on radio stations across the country and audience.
If you like that video, be sure to download our app, and I'll be sure to help the NFL figure out what a catch is.